Whether you're fly fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean, casting nets.
Fish nerds! Fish nerds! Fish nerds!
It's
a podcast. Hello and welcome to the Fish Nerds, the show about fish, fishing, and eating fish. I'm Clay Groves, Chief Executive Fish Nerd, Licensed Fishing Guide, and your best friend. Got a special co-host with me today. Who are you?
I'm Zoe.
Got my kid Zoe here. She's 13 years old, and she comes on the show every so often. It's been a long time, Zoe.
I think it's since I was 12. I think it's
12.
a yearly thing now.
Once a year podcast co-host Zoe Groves. So happy to see you here, Zoe. Thank you for coming to the studio.
You're welcome.
I know the commute was rough on you today.
It was.
All right. So today on the podcast, we got kind of a big show for you. We're really excited about this. By the way, this is our second time recording it because I failed the first time. We're redoing the whole thing. Hopefully we can hold on to the magic.
We'll see.
We'll see. We shall see. So today on the show, we're going to chat with Michael Willett. We're going to find all about his new invention called Spread 'em. He's got a Kickstarter going, which the Fish Nerds have backed. We're excited about that. The crappy hippie in our Fish Nerds effing essayist, Tim Beat, is with us. They have a brand new segment called Lure Love. We're excited to share that with you. We'll do Fish in the News, and we're going to talk about the Filet-O-Fish gods. So a lot going on tonight's podcast. So what do you want to start with today?
I don't care. Whatever you want.
Why don't we jump right in with our brand new segment, because it's new. Let's open with it, like the big open, like, ta-da, here we go. So we're going to open with a brand new segment. Here is the crappy hippie in the Fish Nerds essayist, that's fun to say.
That is,
essayist,
yes.
Tim Beat, with their new segment called Lure Love. Hooray! Settle down. All right, here they go.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Lure Love, our new segment on Fish Nerds tonight. My name is John King, the crappie hippie, your tree-hugging redneck from eastern Kansas, and I'm also co-founder of Glasswater Angling for a Better Outdoors. We make lead-free fishing tackle, and that's one reason I wanted to do this segment. I'm into lure history, I'm into designing lures, I'm into where they've been, where they're at, and where they're going, and got this idea quite a while ago, and I was just looking for the perfect person to jump in on it with me. And I met this guy on the Fish Nerds Facebook group. And hey, everybody, say hello to Tim Beat. Tim, how did I talk you into coming along on this crazy venture?
Well, you didn't have to talk me into it. I am lure crazy. I am just a lure fanatic. I like buying them. I like looking for them. I like, when you get those big bins of lures that are on sale and going through, I like watching YouTube videos about how they're made. I like the history, everything about it. I am a fanatic.
Well, man, we were made for each other, and Fish Nerds has brought us together. So tell me about this club that you joined. Didn't you join some sort of lure club or something like that?
Yeah, just this week I was searching online, and there's actually a National Fishing Lure Collectors Club. And these people are great. So these are people who know the history of lures. They have these conferences where they put the lures on display. But see, I'm a little different. I don't collect lures in the traditional way. Most of these guys, they have antique lures. So they put them in those beautiful display cases, John, and things like that. But I have a different technique. This is what I do to display my lures. I buy new lures and I carefully display them in stumps and rocks and trees and rivers and lakes everywhere.
I think I've seen some of your art. I think I have.
I'm sure you have. And other people, I think, collect them the same way. Because sometimes I find other people's lure. Don't you love, you're in a river and you find a nice lure that's there. Isn't that a great present?
Oh, that's the best. That's the best thing about, August is that the water goes down and you can walk around on the lake shore, go over the river, and stuff that was under, 4 feet of water is now sticking out on dry land. And boy, yeah, the pickings can get really good. It's infectious. It's fun. You just showed me something here. What are you into now? You got yourself a little hopper with your own Artismo put on there. Tell the listeners what you're up to with the lure blanks.
Yeah, I found some cheap lure blanks online and watched a couple YouTube videos, and I don't have all the airbrush equipment and everything, but what I've been doing is buying cheap nail polish and trying out testing, and I wondered if it would smell too much, if the fish wouldn't like it, but I'm doing pretty well with fishing with them so far, and it's kind of nice. I'm not huge into hard baits. I'm more of a jig fisherman, soft bait, but it's kind of fun when you make something yourself and then you go out and catch a fish. There's nothing better than that.
I agree 110%. And that's what's got me into making my own jigs when I was like 10 years old. I've been fiddling with lures, especially wire baits like jigs and spinners ever since. Nothing wrong with that nail polish. That's what we always use. You got your sister running around the house. Where's my pink passion nail polish with the silver sparkles in it? I don't know. Why would you come in here? Yeah, totally. So what's our topic tonight, Tim?
Well, we looked at all the lure types out there, and tonight we're going to talk about topwater frogs, because you got the soft ones, the hard ones, the hollow bellies, weedless. There's so many different types, and who doesn't like a big blast of water on top?
Oh, everybody loves a topwater frog, and I mean, I'm not as familiar with it as other people, but and I need to get to the store. And it's a problem with making your own stuff. A lot of times you're reluctant to go buy it, but you can't beat the engineering and the ideas that have gone into some of these frogs. And now I had a buddy that had a topwater rat in his box, and I used it all morning, back in June, and boy, I had a ball with it. So yeah, the topwater frog has revolutionized fishing in the scum, in the fallout from all this fertilizer and stuff that we put on farm fields and lawns and stuff. Created a lot of perfectly good ponds, especially in suburban and urban environments where it's just nothing but, maybe a little clear spot in the corner and the rest of it's a mat of algae. Well, these kids, they figured out there's fish under that algae. All you got to do, figure out how to get them. And along came the lure industry with the scum frog.
Now, John, you found some pretty cool historical frogs out there when you're doing some research, some really old ones.
Yeah, I did, actually. We got a Bassmaster website. Bernie Schultz had the lowdown on the original weedless topwater frog, patent date February 5th, 1895. Can you believe that?
Incredible.
One of the first, or maybe the first use of rubber in the lure making business. It was the hot new material for a lot of applications. And Hibbard, Spencer, and Bartlett Company put it together in the form of a mold, and perhaps Hastings was the designer guy, but it came painted beautifully, hand painted. Each and every one was painted like a leopard frog, which is a good pick because they're actually bass hit plenty of bullfrogs and other kinds of frogs, but there's something about leopard frogs that really sets them off, although we may argue whether they can even see what's painted on that thing here in a little minute.
They're bite-sized, John. It's like one of those little hot dogs and a toothpick through it for a bass. That's a bite-size hors d'oeuvre for a bass, a little leopard frog.
Absolutely. And he recommended a book that you can get, Don Wheeler, The Frog Lure Collector's Guide. So look up Don Wheeler if you love frog lures. I went to a lure club site, not the one that you joined, but I found so many cool frogs. I'm going to have to limit it. But the next thing I want to talk about is the Ketchum's frog casting frame. And this
more
is
like the frog torture frame.
We got a picture down in the show notes. You got to see this thing. It is like something straight out of hell. I'm sorry for the sensitive listeners, but that's what it looks like. Patent 1904. And yeah, it's a frame with 6 hooks on it. You lay a live frog on it and you puncture it through his little hands and his little legs, and you can throw the whole frame out, and as you yank him across the water, he'll look like he's swimming. And even after he's gone on to his frog reward, you can still keep fishing him with the Ketchum's frog casting frame. But if you look down at the picture, you can see that this thing is so far from being weedless. Whatever the opposite of weedless. What would that be, Tim? Weedful?
Plenty of weeds.
Plenty of weed. Okay.
You could catch a big bass and get a salad with it.
Yeah. It would drag in the whole shrub with it. So a lot of guys, different ideas on how to conquer the weedlessness, different, wires and different things they would put on them. But one of the best ideas, I don't know if it was in terms of performance, but one that amused me the most was the Gee Whiz Frog, the kick that gets them quick, made by All Star Bait Company, Chicago, Illinois, Kirka, 1930. And this little hard body, kind of like a mullet, because it's like hard body in the front and soft in the back. And it had these little arms that came down, and you could buy, the deluxe model had a little set of wheels that went on those arms so that it would float. And then maybe when you came to a submerged log, the little wheels would allow you to bring it up over the log or onto the lily pad and then off the other side. And then it had the lure tie was a piece of string so when you yank the lure, it would make the legs kick. But the Gee Whiz Frog, the kick that gets them quick. So.
Now, John, the first top water frog I ever owned, it was a Bill Plummer weedless super frog. This was in the 70s.
Yes.
And it's amazing when I look in my tackle box, because I still have antique lure sitting in my tackle box, but it was made of foam. So it wasn't a hollow body, solid foam, had a single hook that came out the bottom, and then a really thin wire weed guard. And it was light green with a white belly. And I grew up in New England. Bill Plummer was a New England guy. But here, I don't know if you know the story about how he invented the frog lure. It's great. 1957, he has a 5-year-old daughter who goes to the dentist. And you remember as a kid, you go to the dentist, you get your teeth cleaned, you get to pick a prize.
Okay, yeah.
Well, she picked this little rubber frog and had an air bulb, and you squeeze the bulb and the frog would hop. So she goes to bed that night. What does Bill do? Bill takes a weedless hook and puts it through the frog. And it worked so well for him that he ordered a whole bunch of these frogs from overseas. And then eventually he designed it and got somebody to manufacture it and made a lot of money doing it and just had a great time. But the question that I had was, what if his daughter had picked, instead of that frog, like a plastic pink unicorn? Think about what we'd be fishing with topwater today. We'd have big treble hooks and pink unicorns and be dragging them across the lily pad. So we were lucky she picked that frog.
We are lucky, but then again, see, now I've got all these ideas for, the unicorn lure, right? But, I want to know how he bought her off. Daddy, what happened to my frog?
It hopped away.
Hopped away. Cat
Didn't see it.
Would you like some ice cream? Let's don't worry about the frog. We'll get you another one. We'll take you back. We'll screw up your teeth with ice cream, take you back to the dentist. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So I went on to Amazon. If you search on Amazon, there's more than 700 topwater frog lures just on Amazon. And so you got, the lunker hunt and booyah and scum frogs and runkle frogs. And, a lot of them look the same now. It's not, when you look at the antique ones, they were so different, hand carved and everything. But I tell you what, there's a lot of choices in colors, sizes, kind of you name it.
It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Now, when we talk about frogs and fishing frogs, let's do this real briefly. You've got the traditional, just throw it and reel it back slow. The traditional pump, kick, pause, kick, pause, like frogs. But there's a lot of other retrieves you can do with these.
There definitely are. And I think the one problem that most people have is they don't fish slow enough. So, there have been times when you're retrieving a frog and nothing's going after it. And if you let the thing sit there for a full minute, a fish a bass will come up and take it. And I'll tell you, I was just fishing last weekend and I could see the bass in this river and they weren't really feeding, but I'd throw out something on the topwater and you'd watch one of these bass look at it for a long, long time. And then you twitch it a little bit and they would go after it. But it was amazing. They were staring down the topwater baits. And I think that's the problem with frogs sometimes. It's fun when you're moving the frog quickly and they're busting the surface. But a lot of times fish are kind of sitting back. And so I think you need to fish frogs slower than most people do.
All right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In the spring, a lot of times you can get away with a more active retrieve, but as summer comes along, it gets hot, and then fall, when they have so many different forage choices, it's one of those things where, they're pretty content, or for some reason, they're not on the feed. They're just resting, but you make it look good enough, you slow it down, you keep in front of them long enough, kind of like at Thanksgiving, I'm too full to have the pie. And then you're sitting there, and every time you walk past the table, there's the pie sitting there. And finally you're just like, oh, right, I'll have some pie. That kind of fishing drives me crazy. I'm a total spastic. So it's really hard for me to sit there and count to 20 or wait for a full minute. But, the biggest bass I ever caught, and it's no record setter, it was somewhere between 5 and 6 pounds, but was doing exactly that. But it was on a hot July night, and just I sat there for 10 minutes on that point, and I probably twitched that lure twice.
Well, how many times, John, has it happened to you that something goes wrong with your reel? You got a tangle or something, you're fixing it, and all of a sudden there's a fish on the line.
Absolutely.
And your lure was just sitting there, whether it was topwater, whether it was with a jig. And so it definitely works. I'll tell you, what I've been fishing with a lot this year is a Mr. Twister Hog Frog. Now, it's not a topwater. It's a solid plastic, soft plastic frog. It's buoyant, but you can fish it on a jig head, or you can fish it weedless, and great to cast along the shorelines. But now and then, Mr. Twister site, they have like a bargain basement. And I got like 40 of these frogs for $2 or $3, and they're dynamite. It's a very good frog lure. Yeah. Wow. And it's fun. And I've caught a lot of bass this year with them. So I have a question for you though, John. So I took a philosophy course in college, and the professor asked, if you put a frog in a blender and you turn the blender on, when does it stop being a frog? When does it cease to be a frog? And I thought, well, that's an excellent question. So the question I have for you is, if a lure has a frog pattern on it, but it's not in the shape of a frog, is it a frog lure? So say you take a crappie dueler and you make it in a frog pattern. Is it a frog lure or not? Because there's a lot of lures out there that have the coloring, a pattern of a frog, but they don't look anything like a frog.
That is an excellent question, because, of course, in all this study, we want to keep this segment, reined in, but I came across plenty of quote unquote, hard bait frogs, and all the shapes and, different approaches to the hard bait, and some of them, they're just nothing but a frog pattern. I say, if you call it a frog, it's a frog, that you're going to get in trouble. I can already see that smirk on your face. You're going to get in trouble, right? Well, what about a Crackle frog spoon? Now that doesn't float. That doesn't have an eyeball. That doesn't have nothing. So I think it's just like a lot of things. You're going to have to, if the lure manufacturer calls it a frog, I guess we're going to have to go along with it.
And this has probably happened to you too, John. You ever been fishing with one of those red and white bobbers, and a bass comes up and smacks the bobber?
Oh, yeah.
I assume they think it's the belly of a frog that's sitting up there. So yeah, you never know. So you don't have bobbers. You're fishing with an artificial frog float.
Well, and kind of close this out tonight. Let's talk about that real quick. My question back to you, Tim, is, is that pattern exclusively to catch fishers, or do you think that under certain conditions, the fish can see, part of the top or any part of the top, depending on, their angle of approach, or is it just strictly to catch fishers on a topwater, what's on the backside of it?
It's a great question, John. I've read a lot of research on what bass see and don't see, and the colors and everything. And then you got some debris in the water, and you got the surface reflection, and maybe weeds and all the other things there. I think what's interesting with your topwater frogs is a lot of them have beautiful colors on the back, but white bellies. So if you turn your collection of frogs over, they do look pretty much the same from the bottom, but they don't show the bottom when they're advertising them. They show you the back of them. There's a lot of things that are done with lures that are more to catch the fishermen, and we like them. And that's not a bad thing if it instills confidence in you and you feel like, hey, this is going to work. I'm a big believer in that. I think psychological games and fishing kind of go together. But there, if it's white on the bottom, I do wonder, even if they're seeing the edge, is it really that much difference where they would have hit one frog and not another? I'm not sure about that.
It's hard to be sure about that. Yeah. Because they're all either whitish yellow, or yellowish white, or whatever, very similar. And there's no studies on it. Maybe one day somebody will get funded to go out and figure this out. I know that there's been studies on trout flies and that trout, the light that shines through a trout fly, a dry fly on the surface, and it's sticking in the surface film the way it does, it can make a real difference on how trout perceive that lure. And of course, light shining through the water through, a subsurface lure, especially one that has the ability to transmit some light, like a plastic or a hair jig or something like that, can make a difference. But it's hard for me, a devil's horse wouldn't be a devil's horse without those big old eyes on the back. And they want you to buy more than one of them, or they'd have just made them all white or white and red. And
if they're all white and red, we'd still buy a ton of them.
Yeah, we probably, really. I mean, but you gotta, that's what makes it a devil's horse, those cool eyeballs. And I don't know if bass can approach at enough of an angle to, see that. On the other hand, we all have had that strike the minute the lure hits the water, so we know they can see them coming through the air. They'll be sitting there right there, and they'll watch it just like an outfielder and get under it. And as soon as it hits, they'll strike.
Well, John, with the frogs too, if you're dragging that frog across a lily pad or something like that, all that bass can see is maybe a shadow and some motion. But that's what I love about fishing for both smallmouth and largemouth. They will eat anything. When they're hungry, they are hungry, and that's what makes it fun.
Well, that's absolutely true. And, when we go out to fish at night, we completely dispense with the white belly and, fish either with a black one usually or some darker color. If you fishers, guys and ladies too, want to chime in on that, can a bass see more of a topwater, especially topwater frog, than just the belly? And you want to chime in on your opinion of whether this stuff is relevant or not, call the Fish Nerds hotline. That's 607-378-3474, 607-378-FISH, Fish Nerds hotline.
So, John, every time we do this segment, we want to rate the lures on a scale of 1 to 11 because 10 is not good enough for us when it comes to lures. So what is your rating of the topwater frog?
11. This one goes to 11 without a doubt. It's like, most frogs only go to 10, but the topwater frog, 11. Absolute 11. Absolute 11, Tim.
Very, very good spinal tap imitation. I like that. So, John, I developed a mathematical formula to rate lures, and I adapted it from Einstein's theory of relativity equation, and I substituted a lure's color, shape, and past fishing success for Einstein's mass, energy, and speed of light. And based on that formula, topwater frog, it scores a perfect 11. And it's science, so it can't be wrong.
That's right. You're hearing this, Doc Martin? It's science, so it can't be wrong. Mr. Beat, he's got it going on. All right.
I think that wraps it up. It would be great if people want a specific lure for us to talk about. Go to that Fish Nerds Facebook group and let us know. What should we be talking about next after the topwater frogs? What's your favorite lure? And give it to us, and we'll chew on it for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Tim Beat, for coming with us tonight, and we will get together again and do this again soon, I hope, sir.
All right. I'll see you next time, John.
See y'all next time on Lure Love. Peace out.
You've been on my mind. Never enough lures to tie to the end of my line. Lure love, can't I make you see? Why buy 5 lures when you can buy 103? Sunshine.
Well, all right. That was a lot of fun. What do you think of that segment, Zoe?
It was weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Pretty much everything that Tim and the Crappie Hippie do for us is weird, and that's why we love them.
That is.
We're happy to have them here. All right. What do you say we jump into some fish in the news? Zoe?
Sounds good.
Hit that orange button.
Wait. Okay, great. Sounds good.
Hit that orange button.
Orange button.
News, fish in the news. Everybody loves their fish in the news.
And this first story is from the New York Times. This story-
Massachusetts town begs residents to stop calling 911 about fish.
Yeah, I wasn't saying anything. Just jump in anytime you want. Keep going.
I'm sorry. I really needed to say that.
Keep going.
Oh, some in Warham, Mass. worried the enormous blob-like fish was stranded. Others thought it was a shark. It turned out to be a sunfish. And town officials urged residents to stop reporting it. And Dad, how would you say that in Massachusetts?
Okay, so to authenticate this story, it's really important that we use proper accents for this. Now, being someone who used to teach in Massachusetts makes me an expert, and therefore I can do a perfect Massachusetts accent. So I will do that for you now, by the way. Some of the calls reported an injured seal. Others said they had seen a shark. Still others implored officials to help what appeared to be a stranded fish. It's a freaking shark. By early afternoon on Monday, dozens of people had called emergencies officials at Wareham on the southeast coast of Massachusetts. The town's Department of Natural Resources dispatched 2 officers to investigate. Thank you. Thank you. Settle down. It's going to be okay. They soon discovered the odd-looking creature lolling in the cove of Buzzards Bay with no cause for alarm. It was an ocean sunfish, an enormous blob-like creature that eats jellyfish and has a dorsal fin that to the untrained eye can be resembled that of a shark. we like to eat him in our chowder on the parkway with a fork. That's the whole story, really.
Yeah. The calls had become so voluminous, however, that the Wareham Department of Natural Resources was compelled to issue a plea on Facebook. The fish was swimming, it said, adding, "It's not stranded or suffering. The sunfish, is fine."
It added,
"Please stop calling the police department about the sunfish."
right, and if you would do that like a Kennedy would read it, you'd go, error, it's not stranded or suffering, the sunfish is fine. It added, "Please stop calling the police department about the sunfish, error. Gary Buckminster, the department's director of Wareham's harbor master, said he began getting calls from the concerned residents as early as 6:30 a.m. on Monday. Of course, in Massachusetts, you would say 6:30 a.m. in the morning because it's important to say it twice. That's what I learned.
You did?
Oh, yeah. That's a
right.
fun fact about Massachusetts. State law, you have to say a.m. and morning in the same sentence. Just like if you say p.m., you have to say afternoon afterwards. Like we had lunch at 12 p.m. in the afternoon, which is redundant. I know. It's wicked smart. But that's from Massachusetts. I'm from Wareham. I'm from Worcester. I'm from Lawrence. So that's our first story. I think you brought us some good stories, Zoe.
Yeah, I think so too.
What do you think about these ocean sunfishes? Do you think that you would worry about it and call the police?
I don't think so, no, because I know what they are.
Because you're smarter.
I'm smart.
I'm wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
It's a tuna. Maybe it's a tuna fish already.
I actually don't know what a tuna fish looks like.
It looks like a giant shark. All right. And this is from Inceptive Mind. By the way, that's the end of that story. This is from InceptiveMind.com. Engineers build an untethered squid robot for underwater exploration. This is really cool. Engineers at the University of California, San Diego, have built a squid-like robot that can swim untethered, propelling itself by generating jets of water. The squid robot carries its own power source and is made mostly from soft materials like acrylic polymer with a few rigid 3D printed and laser cut parts. It can also carry a waterproof camera or a different type of sensor for underwater exploration. Soft robotics are used to ensure the safety of fish and corals, which can be damaged by rigid robots in case they crash, I guess. The problem with soft robots is, they move slow and they have a difficult time maneuvering. The team of robotics and computer simulation experts turned to cephalopods as a good model to solve some of these issues because cephalopods are soft-bodied animals. The next step is to improve the robot's efficiency and ability to maneuver, go faster by reworking the nozzle that expels water. Guess what the nozzle is?
It's butt.
It's a butt. They are jet butt propelled. They're butt propelled?
Yep.
They squirt water out their butt. That's how they go. That's science. Hashtag science. Let's do one more story for you. This is another one that Zoe brought to the Fish Nerds this week. And this is a story we've covered actually before, but this year is different because of COVID-19. This is from the Houston Herald. And the headline, Zoe, read it.
Fish will fly in rescheduled Gulf Coast event.
Yes, rescheduled Gulf Coast event. This is exciting news here. Once canceled amid the coronavirus concerns, the annual mullet toss is back on again at the popular Roadhouse in the Florida-Alabama state line. A mullet, by the way, is a what, Zoe?
It's a hair.
It's a bad haircut and also a fish with a bad haircut. In the annual event, at the Floribama Lounge, the contestants throw dead fish from a point in Florida across the state line, vying for distance records. The April event was postponed this year due to the spread of COVID-19, but it will now happen October 23rd through 25th. That's really good news, Zoe.
It is. So people can throw fish.
Yeah, hooray.
Hooray.
Hooray for fish throwing on
Hooray.
Floribama. Who, by the way, these fish throwers also have mullets because they're in Floribama.
Yep, because they're in Floribama, and this is how invasive species spread.
That's right. They're going to be these invasive mullets. By the way, bad haircuts are also a bad invasive thing.
They're very invasive.
Yeah. They're not mandatory that anybody wear a mask, he said, but they're an outdoor event. But you are welcome to wear a mask if you want to, and no one's going to look at you funny. They will look at you funny because you're throwing mullets. I think that's where the funny is going to come from. So anyway, you can check all that out. I'm sure you can go to YouTube and watch it live as it unfolds. And that is Fish in the News. Hit that orange button.
News, fish in the news. Everybody loves their fish in the news.
Without any further ado, we're going to jump into my conversations with Michael Willett with his Kickstarter campaign for his new product coming right to market now called Spread 'em, which is an outrigger, which I could have used this summer a lot. So we hit the blue button.
Which blue?
Bright blue.
Bright blue.
Hello, fish nerds. We're super excited because we've got Michael Willett from Auburn, Maine. And I've known Michael for, probably as long as the Fish Nerds has been around. I've been seeing him at different fishing shows since probably 2011 or 12, pretty a long time. And Michael, in my experience with Michael, is he's an inventor. He always has kind of unique ideas for fishing and some cool stuff. And we've had him on before to talk about this product. It's called Spread 'em. And I think this time he's really going to make it happen. This is a product I believe in. It's pretty cool, but we're going to let Michael tell us all about it. Michael, how are you?
Great. How you doing, Clay?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the podcast. It's good to see you again.
Thanks.
I can't wait to see you in real life again once this whole COVID crisis is over and we can start getting back to some sort of normal life again.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, we were trying to set up some little bit of fishing off your pontoon boat, and the Spread 'em that we're talking about today can work on any boat. So we're going to go down and hook it up to your pontoon boat and put it in action. But we sort of got sidetracked with this COVID thing. So, but it's in the works.
It's in the works. And now you're really moving forward. So you're on Kickstarter now. Your campaign just launched. You go to Kickstarter.com and just search for Spread 'em. It's Spread-EM is how you search it up. And we'll put links up on our website and in the show notes so people can find it pretty easily. But essentially what this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, these are portable downriggers on a telescoping rod that allows you to hook up a whole bunch of lines at one time so you don't get tangled. That's pretty much what it is?
Well, it isn't a downrigger. It's an outrigger.
Outrigger, my
which
brain.
It sticks out the side of your boat, and you can run it 3 different lengths, 10 feet, 15 feet, and 18 feet off the side of your boat.
Mm-hmm.
Independent rod holder, so you don't lose a rod holder for using the system. But I recommend every 5 feet putting out a line, so you can add 3 extra lines if you're out at 18 feet off the side of your boat, and it just puts more lines in the water. And a lot of people fish off the back with the downriggers, or they're limited on space. Well, with this unit, it's all portable, and you can mount it on your boat, and it allows you to put more lines towards the front of the boat while maintaining the lines you usually run off the back.
So I can have a couple of downriggers in the back of my boat, put these up in the front of my boat, and get 6 more lines in the water, and they'll be far enough away so when I make those big turns, I'm not going to tangle up all in my own lines. Because this has been my problem. I've been guiding all summer, and we've been trolling around for lake trout and salmon. And there are times where I get my lines all in one loop, all tangled together, and I don't notice. So I could be driving around for like 25 minutes or an hour with a big tangle back there and have no clue. And this is going to solve that problem, isn't it?
Right. And usually how you put out your lines, it's basically some run off the top, some run off the bottom. You don't know where the fish are,
Right.
but you want to cover as much area as you can. So with the separation of about 5 feet, you should have no problem. I haven't had any problem, unless, of course, you lose control of your boat.
That happens. You've never been a guide, have you? Because here's what invariably happens. You're going to love this. So you get people on the boat, and you put the lines in the water, and you ask a client to just hold the steering wheel of the boat straight. And they get distracted talking and drinking beer with their buddies, and they let go of the wheel. And next thing you know, while you're working lines in the back of the boat has now made a quick, sharp turn to the right.
Right.
And all your lines, all that work you've done is wrecked. Or even worse, and this is what I'm going to love, is by having the lines further away from the boat, it would solve this problem. The prop chops off your fishing lines, which has happened. My clients make this happen sometimes. Maybe
that's a complete U-turn on that one.
Oh my God! You already know. I don't want to badmouth clients because they're actually really great, but they're not there to pay attention. They're there to do what you tell them to do, and mostly they want to hang out and talk and reel a fish up every so often. So so you're back, and this is running on Kickstarter for the next 2 months, and you're trying to raise $50,000. And is that going to be enough money to bring this to full market?
It'll bring us to the original run. We're doing a run of the product. We're pre-selling it, so the more people who buy it at a discounted rate, you save $100. We'll include it in our first run, but this was supposed to happen in February.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been working on this for years too.
Yes, and I've invested a lot of money to it. It's the last part of it, and then of course it'll be coming to market because we've had the full manufacturing process put together. We've already done it because we had to get ready for the ICAST show, which we were at in 2019. So we're ready to go. It's just the last step.
Good. And so $50,000 is a pretty good amount of money. It's not a ton of money compared to what it costs to get these things out to market, but this is pre-selling it. And it is selling on Kickstarter. You've got lots of different levels of supports. People can get something as small as a pen, or they can buy the whole product from you. And you've raised $436 so far. This is brand new. Brand new. Just started yesterday.
Yeah. The word's getting out, but a lot of people have approached me because they do want to add more lines to the boat. The release clips are similar to what you use for your downrigger, so it has enough tension, but we have a specially designed one that clips on the line. It goes with a loop pre-sized, so it's very easy, color-coded for the 10, 15, and 18 feet. So it's not complicated at all.
That's good. I need simple.
Very simple. So it's 8 sections, and to increase or decrease the length, you just pull off a section.
Perfect.
And it works very good. I've used it on a 12-foot boat. I've used it just about on a bass boat, a center console. I was hoping to get some video off your boat, the pontoon boat, but the idea is for it to work on anybody's boat. It's not, you don't have to have a big honking ocean boat. You can use it for anything. So
good. And this mounts in your rod holders, or how's it mount the boat?
Well, it comes in a kit. You have the rod, the 2 independent rod holders. They mount on a Cabela Scotty Stealth boat mount. So you probably already have one on your boat already.
I've got the Scotties.
But it comes with a mount in the kit.
Perfect.
So and it's very easy to put together. It takes about 10 minutes from beginning to end, and it's even quicker taking it down. It's not very hard to put together, and it works great.
Good.
Carbon fiber rod, very durable. If you go to the Kickstarter campaign, you'll see me run over the rod with my truck.
Yeah, don't do that again.
No.
Makes me nervous.
Well, that was the second take too. So.
Yeah. Well, the first one, you do it twice because you didn't get a good film. You're like, oh, it worked the first time. Let's try again.
Yeah, I'm not very good at the video stuff, and this is all new to me. So, but we got it on the second take.
You did it. Now, can I ask you a question? Just practical use. So I'm driving around my lake. I use both lead core and monofilament. Sometimes I'm up on top, sometimes down the bottom. Does lead core work with a outrigger?
Yes, it does. Anything that you can hook up off your downrigger release, you can do the same thing off this outrigger. It's the same similar type of clip. Mm-hmm. I've used lead core. I've used floating. I use front sinking. I've used everything off this. Lures, flies, live bait. Mm-hmm. So it'll pull. It'll hold on to anything. Of course, there's an adjustment on the release to give you more attention, but usually you just clip it right at the tip of the release, and away you go.
Well, that's really cool. And one of our policies here at Fish Nerds, if we have someone running a Kickstarter campaign and we have them on their show, we have them on the show because we believe in the product and we believe in this product. So I've backed you on the full amount because I want this on my boat and I'm excited about this for you. So I'm one of your first backers. I'm kind of excited about it, and we'll be talking about it all month long. Now, from a fishing standpoint, first of all, you love trolling. That's obvious because this is the product you're making.
Right.
What's your favorite go-to lure to troll for a salmon?
To be honest with you, I'm a live bait kind of guy.
So do you sew on bait, or how do you rig it up?
I've done the sewn on bait, but I usually do live bait with a slider. Goes through the front part of the lip of the bait fish, and it goes to the dorsal fin. I don't use treble hooks. I just use small hooks, number 8s or 6s. It doesn't make a difference. And I will use that slider and let the fish swim by itself.
While it's being dragged behind the boat.
Correct.
Perfect.
But, this, because with the outrigger, I like to use fly rods. Mm-hmm. I use flies while trolling, but the live bait seems to work the best for me. And the good part about it is when you have all these lines out there and they're not getting tangled, you're keeping bait in the water longer to get the second and third hit, on the strike. So that's the other plus.
Oh, that's cool. So I'm trying to visualize. I've never fished with outriggers before, so I'm trying to visualize. Let's say you got 3 lines going off each side of the boat, and the middle line on the stern of the boat pops. Stern, the right word? The right side of the boat, the port side of the boat pops off, and it just flies right back to the back of the boat, and then you just, because of the color code, you know which rod to pick up, or just.
No,
how do I keep my brain on this?
So what happens is you put the clip in, the pulley system brings it out to the end of the rod. When the fish hits, it'll release from the release, and it'll sit in the water because your boat has it sort of the fish has hit the bait. He'll turn around and hit it again. He doesn't normally or always take it the first time, but once it releases, it's dead in the water and it floats until, of course, the boat picks up the slack. When you're trolling, the outside line is always further out than the inside line. When when the line comes back around, you don't want them to get tangled from the release. So if it's the middle one, the one close to the boat is shorter from the back of the boat anyway. So it's from trolling, the outside one is the furthest away, then the middle one is like midway, and the one close to the boat, of course, is not as far as all those. So when they hit, the fish brings it towards the back of the boat, and you don't have tangles.
Oh, and with having the other lines far from the boat, you don't tangle while you're fighting the fish in either. So,
Correct.
oh, I'm in. I am in. So I'm happy to have backed this project. And I could have used this all summer this year. It would have been really great.
Well, I was hoping to come down and go off the boat. But we'll make plans for this coming year and get some video.
We'll have to, because when this is going to be ready in August 2021. Is that what your website says?
Well, we're hoping to get it manufactured just after the first of the year, and then it's about 90 days.
Oh, that's not bad.
So, yeah, the August thing is for delivery of shirts, and we have you can see the hat, camo, and we have our new logo with the fish in the background that are going to be on the shirts and all that stuff. So. That's when it comes in, the shirts and the hats.
All right. So this time, no matter what, when this comes in and when they're ready to go, after you've hit your Kickstarter goal, when these come in, you're going to deliver this to me by hand. This will be in April now, probably. And
I'll bring down another one so we can run them off both sides of the boat.
Okay, and then you can give me a full lesson on how to run. Run this.
It is so easy. It comes with directions. Breaks everything down. How to use it. It's very simplistic. It isn't something that Outriggers right now, they send you the box and the rod and all that stuff, and you have to put it together yourself. This is all pre-done. You can, once you open up the box, it's ready to rock.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited about it. So, well, congratulations, Michael. I know you've been working on this for years. You've been working on a lot of other things too, but this seems to be where the kind of culmination of all the work you've been doing. I'm really excited for you. I'm really proud of you. I'm excited to see where this goes next, and I hope that you reach your Kickstarter goals. And again, Fish Nerds listeners, you can go to Kickstarter.com and just search for Spread'em with it spread-em, or go to the show notes and click on the link if you want to support this project. And any amount of money helps a lot. I mean, if every listener gave just a few bucks, you can be at your goal, and that would be huge. So even if you just want a T-shirt, do it.
And I know people, rubbing two pennies together, but it takes a lot of, if you've ever done a project and brought something to the market, there's a lot involved with it. So whatever they can do, I'd really appreciate it. And I really appreciate you having me on your show, Clay. You always follow the cutting edge, and you work with the fishing community. And I really have to say a shout out. Thank you very much. And all the people who are listening to this program, thanks for taking a moment and listening to it. Once you go to the Kickstarter site, you'll see video of how it works and everything. So thank you for your time.
Well, all right. Well, thank you, Michael Willett, for coming on. We really appreciate it, and the Fish Nerds are very happy to be backing this product. And we can't wait to get you on the boat this spring to test out these for real, because Zoe, you've been on the boat when I've tangled up lines when we're trolling.
Yes, I have. He's made me untangle them sometimes.
That's right. I make you do the work, and so this will really solve that problem. Thank you, Michael Willett. Now, we have one more thing we need to talk about, and this is the god of Filet-O-Fish. Zoe, what is a Filet-O-Fish?
It is a cheap sandwich.
It is a cheap sandwich from where?
McDonald's.
From McDonald's. Have you had one before?
No. I only ever get chicken nuggets.
So for those who don't know, a Filet-O-Fish sandwich is a square hunk of meat at McDonald's with tartar sauce, American cheese on two pieces of, not one piece, of one hamburger bun. That's it. That's as simple a sandwich as you can get. Do you know what kind of fish is in the Filet-O-Fish, Zoe?
The easiest thing to catch. Whatever they can mush up into a ball and spread out into a cube.
Yeah, it's mullet. No, it's not mullet. It should be mullet because that would be sustainable. It is actually Alaskan pollock, according to McDonald's website.
Which is probably not true, to be honest.
Well, it probably is. Pollock are
popular?
Very popular, huge numbers.
Oh, okay.
It's in the cod
Never mind.
family. They're delicious fish. But anyway, that's what it is.
All
so
right.
This is from Pedestrian. This is actually a food blogger. And the headline is, I ate Filet-O-Fish burger for every meal of the day for a whole weekend. Oh, I can't read. Will you read it?
I ate a Filet-O-Fish burger for every meal of the day for a whole week, and now I've seen God.
Yeah. Now that's Australian, so you need to read it in Australian.
I ate a Filet-O-Fish burger for every meal of the day for a whole week, and now I've seen God.
Forgot one word.
Good day.
There you go. Perfect. That's how you do Australian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we're going to have Australian protesters. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to read some of his blog posts and give some commentary on it, let you know how it went, okay? So first of all, he describes a Filet-O-Fish as a burger. And so that's problematic to begin with because
Yes, it is. It's
it
very
is not a burger. It's a square of fish fried.
fried square of fish with tartar sauce and American cheese.
Yeah, so he started off eating his first breakfast on a Monday morning. Usually has cereal or some other breakfast adjacent dish like toast or bacon and eggs, but this day he had Filet-O-Fish. He described the Filet-O-Fish as holding up surprisingly well for the first breakfast of the week. The imitation brioche bun, I like that, goes down as a treat at this time of day, and the fish patty is kind of edible before midday, and the tartar sauce is tolerable. So that's a good start. The tartar sauce, by the way, on these is always this kind of weird, lukewarm feeling.
Oh, it's
Midday on Monday, he had to have his lunch, his second Filet-O-Fish of the day. This time, there's no immediate smack of flavor, but the burger is more-ish. Nonetheless, it's no longer a treat, but rather a sustenance that he's craving. And by dinner time, he has no desire to eat any more food for that day, but he does it anyway. So it's a very funny article. We'll put a link up on our fishnerds.com. We're going to jump ahead to Wednesday, because by Wednesday now, he's been eating it for a few days. You want to read this, Zoe?
By now, everyone's been telling me my breath stinks. For one, I don't blame the Filet-O-Fish. Maybe it's just my gut flora up to no good.
Yeah, gut flora.
Oh, and I've also completely lost my appetite by now. I constantly feel full. Eating is but a folly distraction on my is but a fully distraction. My only the weak partake in it. Cool.
Nevertheless, breakfast must go on. By lunchtime, it's a chore. And by dinner, it's the same story. It sounds like he's not really enjoying it.
No, I wouldn't enjoy it either.
I think I might.
You
do
might,
it.
but
Now,
you're different.
The picture of this, by the way, is awful. Because it's this hairy man with a beard and a mouthful of fish. It's on his lips and teeth and delight. Delight. Let's skip ahead to Friday. This is where it gets kind of fun. His text in this becomes hard to read. Friday, I became more slovenly with each bite as the days go on. From breakfast onwards, there's always tartar sauce on my face now, and the aura that flows with me wherever I go smells amazing. I can only imagine. At lunch, I wipe the tartar sauce on my face as a kind of absolution before consuming the flesh of Ronald McDonald himself. Now we're getting religious. Think as Ronald McDonald as Jesus in this case. The fish and bun is an earthly body, but there's no wine to dignify the blood. The tartar sauce will suffice. By Saturday, I soar high above the mortals in the street who are beholden to their feeble notions of hunger. I ragingly lust for the Filet-O-Fish. It emanates from the bowels of my bowels as I wait in line for the macas for breakfast. No, I'm not hungry, you fools. I am devoted. It's getting religious now. He looks terrible.
Yeah.
So we're going to skip ahead just a little bit to where it really gets
Weird.
really religious.
Really weird.
Yeah. So
on
Sunday, every time I consume the burger consumes me. The Filet-O-Fish and I become one more intimately than any bond known to mankind thus far.
I'll do this one.
You want to do this? Go ahead.
Agios, oh barfmouth, keeper of the Filet-O-Fish.
Now, I think you need to read this not like Harry Potter, but more like a Catholic priest.
Agios, oh Bartholomew.
You're more Harry Potter than ever. It would go, may the fertiles of the terrestrial paradise be irrigated with the blood of who I just lust for the Filet-O-Fish.
Through my
That's immaculate.
immaculate consumption, we become unified as one.
That's perfect. Priest imitation.
It
by the
is?
way. Yes.
Okay.
If it was a Boston priest, it'd be, we become wicked, unified as one. In conclusion, the Filet-O-Fish is a good burg. 9 out of 10. Highly recommended. If you don't believe it, give it a shot yourself. Anyway, it's a very fun read. If you get a chance, check it out. We'll put a link up in the show notes. Zoe, I was curious, what, if anything, would you want to eat one meal of every single day for a week? And you have to be specific. You can't just say leftovers. That's not fair.
All right. Good point. Give me a minute on this.
All right, I'm going to tell you a story of when I first moved to New Hampshire. And this is one you've heard before, but I'm going to tell you it again. So when I first moved to New Hampshire from New Jersey, in New Jersey, blue food dye was illegal in 1991 when I moved to New Hampshire. And one of my favorite cereals as a kid was Blueberry cereal. There's Frankenberry, Blueberry, and Count Chocula. And I love Blueberry cereal. Not because it tastes like blueberries. It doesn't taste anything like blueberries at all. It's just because it's blue colored. So I moved to New Hampshire, and Blueberry cereal was a legal thing. You could buy it at the store. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. For the next week, all I'm going to do is eat Blueberry cereal. So I bought like 8 or 10 boxes of Blueberry cereal, and all I did was eat Blueberry cereal and milk. And by day 4, everything that came out of my body was colored like blueberries. So even my poo berries were blue colored. I even took Polaroids of it, which I can't find anymore. Some days, Zoe, when I'm dead and gone, you're cleaning out my stuff, you're going to find a box with pictures of bright blue poop in it, and that will be, you'll go, oh, I remember this story. I love my dad.
Why did you take pictures? Wait, you didn't tell me you took pictures of your poo. I thought you took pictures of like your teeth and your spit and your cereal.
What fun is that?
Good point.
So if you were to pick one meal that you can eat for a week and only one thing, what would it be?
Tacos.
Tacos is a great choice. 3 meals a day of tacos. I'm
3
in.
meals a day of tacos.
I'm in. I could do cheeseburgers like that.
Yeah, same here.
Could you do Filet-O-Fish?
No.
No, the problem with Filet-O-Fish is it doesn't taste that good the first day.
Yeah,
So it'd be tough to tolerate for 3-4 days in.
I agree that.
All right. Well, that was our story, and that is our show, in fact. So we're going to wrap up this show here. We want to start off by thanking our Patreon supporters. We have a couple of supporters giving us $25 a month, and then if you do that, we will name your business on the podcast. First one is Josh Lopes at lopestax.com. You need your taxes done. Josh is a great guy for it. The other one is Beth Metz. Now, Beth Metz does not have a business, but if you, in the middle of the night, go into your bathroom with a flashlight pointed just under your chin and all the lights off, and you say, Bethany Metz, Bethany Metz, Bethany Metz 20 times in the mirror, she will show up in the dark in your house. And you're welcome for that one.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. It would scare the hell out of me. But
I would too.
But I love Beth.
I might try.
Yeah, Beth
No,
Metz.
I'm not
Beth Metz. Beth Metz. Near Halloween.
It would be funny. But
Yeah. All right.
No.
Weird. All right. Well, thank them. Anyway, if you want to support the podcast,
All right, can we-
patreon.com/fishnerds and give us a little bit of money. Starting next week, we'll be doing a monthly giveaway from Patreon. If you subscribe, your name will be in the hat. Next week, I'm giving away some of our books from our Fish Nerds book clubs. And if I can find some stickers, we'll throw in some stickers too. So that's it. You've listened to a bunch of Fish Nerds when you should have been fishing. Special thanks to Tim Beat and John King for their new segment, Lure Love. Big thanks to Tim Beat's daughter, who I don't know her name because Tim didn't tell me, for the new music for that segment. That was very, very good, and we like it. Also, a thank you to Wally Pleasant for our opening theme music and Diana's Bath Salts for our news theme.
Until next time, follow the code of the Fish Nerds. Spawn early and often.
Never trust a free lunch with strings attached.
Swim against the current every chance you get.
That's it. Zoe, you made a podcast. Congratulations.
I made a podcast. Thank you.
Whether
did
you're
it.
fly fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean casting nets.
Fish Nerds.
Fish Nerds.
Fish
Fish
Nerds. It's a podcast.
Just for the halibut. Fried in a basket or broiled in a pan. Eat it raw like you're in Siam. Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. It's a podcast.